After losing my most valuable possession, I vowed to become the strongest and most fierce player in the server and get revenge on the people who had stolen what I'd cared about the most. You see, a fully maxed out mob spawner is one of the most overpowered items in this server, capable of generating tons of monsters and animals, which can be then placed into a massive box and turned into a crazy farm, ready for the monsters to be easy slain, to gain tons of loot and stacking up really fast. In order to obtain them, you would need a pickaxe with a very rare and specific enchantment on it to find the spawner, but this would just be a super basic spawner, in which you then need to feed it tons of materials and items to level it up and max it out. Owning one would be considered a threat of power to others, which is probably why my one had been stolen. But to know if I'd gotten my revenge, we'd have to go all the way to the start of my journey, when the server had just started. This was the first ever anarchy server I had been a part of, so I knew that I could not afford to go pick flowers and build pretty houses like the other servers I'd been a part of. I had to lock in and make sure that I would not fall behind while everybody else gets stacked and be unable to be killed. So, once the Grey Spirit had started, I booked it straight out of spawn to explore, trying to find some loot, either in chests found in structures generated all across the map, or loot gained from slaying the monsters or bosses. But there is one strategy in particular that is very underrated from the server that I would use, which would be through villager trading. This is because villagers can trade a bunch of valuable loot, but the prices they ask for would be pretty hefty. But to battle this, there are ways we can get them to consistently lower their prices, making our trades more worthwhile for us and not so much for the villagers. The ways to get discounts would be by 1. Curing a zombie villager by letting a zombie attack a villager until it turns it into a zombie too, and then using a weakness potion and a golden apple, you can cure the villager and it will grant you discounts for saving its life. Another way would be by completing a raid, as after finding a rare mob spawn and killing it, it would grant you this potion effect called Bad Omen, and by going to village with this effect, it summons waves of monsters that would spawn getting stronger and stronger until finishing 5 waves of this, the raid will be defeated, and the villagers would reward you with discounts for saving their village. The second way to get lowered prices from them would be through a villager hat, an extremely rare artifact obtained either in loot chests, very unlikely, or by killing an extremely difficult to find mob underground, a mimic, and even then it is still a 1 in 30 chance to get the right artifact. And the fourth and final way to gain discounts from villagers is if you spawn this ability to get them. You see, when the server had started, we had to pick our origins. Monsters we were going to be to obtain different skill sets and abilities. Some being able to become stronger and deal more attack damage. Some being tricky and being able to teleport and phase through walls. But the origin I chose made it so I could shoot fireballs, shoot with the skulls that split on impact, save my life whenever I die, and lastly, trade with villagers at a discount. So, I set out to find one of 2 structures that spawn villagers and would start my very strategic plan of getting easy loot to protect myself from the other players of the server. After looking for a little over 10 minutes, I found a village, but there was a problem. This village was positioned between 2 dragon nests, which means that these dragons would periodically come by and cause mass destruction over the village, making everything much harder. So this could also be a good thing, as they could protect me against other people and warding them away from this place. So I quickly snuck all the villagers into a little bunker so they would be safe from all the chaos of the dragons, and also for them to breed and create more babies that would be willing to sell the riches to me. And with that, I created my first base to get and store lots of loot. Once I had settled in and got all my villagers nice and cozy and all set up to trade with, I had given one a lectern, converting it into a librarian, as those types of villagers sell different books with different enchantments that I could put on my armor and tools, in which one of the villagers sold Silk Touch, the enchantment needed in order to break and obtain the mob spawners I was talking about. I didn't have to try to find the enchantment really in a chest, nor grind up an enchantment table for the low chance of it giving it to me. All I needed was one measly villager to sell me the right book, and I could get my hands on one of the most powerful items in the game. And now that I have acquired this item, all I needed were the materials to upgrade it. The materials included a stack of clocks, which I could just get from trading with villagers as well, 20 sugar, which I had already gotten from stealing a sugar cane while looking for the village. A few gas tiers, which is relatively easy to get once I travel to the nether. A soul lantern, also relatively easy to craft. And a fermented spider eye, a little more complicated, using spider eyes, sugar, and bad mushrooms. So, I had quickly traded with my villagers to obtain a bunch of clocks, went to the nether to get a few gas tiers, soul sand, and brown mushrooms, and finally found a mine shaft, which housed an entire spider spawn to get some eyes. And with that, I had acquired the most powerful item in the game on day 1 of the server. While everyone was still out mining for gear and looking for resources, trying to get stacked, I was chilling my base getting tons of resources. So, I looked out. I'd been playing for a couple hours now and a little tired, it already being nighttime. So, I headed to bed, feeling accomplished and ready to grind some more the next day. But that was when the worst possible thing that could happen happened. When I logged onto the server the next day, I realized that I didn't cover up the holes of my base, and now that half of the server knew where my base was, it was no doubt that my most precious valuable would get stolen. At least they left my villagers alone there. Wait, what? They left my villagers alone? That might have been the worst mistake. Since my villagers were alive, I didn't need to grind all that work again. The villager still sells the silk touch enchantment that I could just mine the spider spawner that I found yesterday. And I had some spare materials after getting some yesterday, so all I had to do was trade back a stack of clocks from my villagers, and just like that, I already regained my maxed out spawner. But this wasn't the end. I went to get revenge on the people that had the audacity to come into my home and steal my stuff after I had grinded so hard for it. So I vowed that I would grind, train, build farms, fight the hardest bosses, and become the strongest on the server, and find out who was bold enough to do this to me. And if I couldn't find out, I would just have to overpower every single player on the server until they understand that no one can just rob me and get away with it, and that they need to pay for all the wrong that they did. And so I began my journey to become the most powerful player in the server, which started with me grinding my spawners for a bit of loot, getting tons of materials that will help me get stronger. I then adventured out looking for any bosses that I could defeat, fighting cyclops, dragons, mages that could get in pots, medusas, wizards, and guys that like back shots. But you have to hit them from the back. You need to backstab them in order to deal damage to them. Anyways, after finding any bosses, I had gained a lot of experience in the fighting style that I had must adapt to deal with massive threats. Next, I built the greatest and most overpowered farms, going to the end dimension, the only dimension where the strongest weapon and armor ascension material can be acquired. So I created a farm to infinitely obtain massive amounts of it, being able to upgrade everything I owned and get even stronger. I had also found ways to easily and infinitely obtain every single vanilla ore really quickly, having stacks of copper, coal, ore, gold, diamond, and even netherite assisted with raising my ranks in the server. But the thing is, netherite isn't the strongest material in the server, and that would belong to the set of dragon steel armor. Needing to slay countless amounts of dragons to obtain their flesh to create forges of each different type of dragon, and getting the blood and combining it with steel in forges to turn into the respective dragon steel ingots. And once obtaining dragon steel ingots of every type, combining them together would result in this super dragon steel ingot, in which, using those ones, we can turn into the strongest types of armor and weapons. And so that's what I did, using unknown strategies to locate nests of dragons more easily. I ended up killing over 150 dragons and finally getting this overpowered set of armor. But I wasn't the first to obtain this armor. Ever since the start of the server, this one player, Thingy, knew exactly what he wanted to do and immediately started grinding for this armor. So with the potential threat that I need to face, I would have to carry on with getting stronger. But one last thing I did before getting my exact revenge. Remember how I said I fought tons of bosses? Well, I managed to get a couple spawnings from them, which can be then put in my maxed out spawner, letting me farm the bosses as well, gaining great amounts of food, AP loot, as well as more spawnings of the bosses that I could potentially use in order to fight my enemies advancing me to the strongest player in the server. And now, with all my gear and items, my plan for revenge was inevitable. So, the next day, we had called a meeting at Town Hall with some of the members of the server. Most of the people I was expecting that stole my spawner had come to this meeting. And with this, we had started my investigation.
Oi, Nani.
I also got some new info about my stuff.
Ooh.
There's hats
okay.
in the storage area that's opened.
Yeah.
And I don't open them.
Okay, so, to make a long story short, Penny has recently had something of hers stolen. Someone has apparently been in her base, stolen her spawner, and also left her a little parting gift. What was it? A bunch of hats? Was it?
Yeah, in the storage area where the mob spawner was. There was a bunch of opened hat bags. And I had never opened the hat bag.
And who do you know that like knows where your base is?
The people that I know that knows are Bingy, Nani, and Becca.
Interesting.
And me. I take responsibility as I know where your base is too.
I want to bring up the first point of this. Who here loves hats more than Nani? Oh yes. Admits to it.
I'm with Penny. I love my ears, and that's it. I just have easy ears.
Nani,
Nani,
how many hat bags have you opened in the past couple of days since the server started? Yeah, we know.
Too many.
Do you think that maybe you found someone's base, or maybe you forgot that it was Penny's, right? And you said, "Oh, that's a spawner. I'm gonna take that because I'm gonna need it to help Soup with her ascension of weapon, right? Because you wanted to help me with that." Did you maybe take the spawner? You have spawners?
This is true.
Because you took one from Penny. You would never leave hats alone to be abandoned. That's very interesting. Because if you look right underneath us, there's 3 double chests full of hats that you haven't touched since I made the town hall.
You just looked at
Ripple the
me.
Listen Linda card.
Because, you know, Nani, surely you understand where I'm coming from, right? We're kind of thieves roaming the server.
British firework up Soup's arse. Excuse me.
Nani, do you swear that you didn't steal anything? You swear on Max's life? Nani, you have 2 people against you right now.
Purple
You're
the
not
gun
welcome this
out,
way.
fucking hell.
We will take your stuff. Do you swear that you haven't stolen a spawner?
Put him up.
Whoa, what's going on here? We're having a
Whoa.
serious conversation here about a thief. And you're...
I'm just watching,
What are you
I don't
doing?
know what he's doing.
That is
Okay. Be real for a second. Do you really think you'd have a chance against Bingy? I kind of want to see that. Yeah?
To the arena.
Oh, yeah, we should make an... You know what? We can
I
actually
can't
have
wait
this.
till this.
Come here. On 3. 1, 2, 3.
With this investigation coming to a quick end and everyone getting distracted, leading to people to duel in the gladiator arena, I became content with the fact that no one is going to reveal themselves as the culprit. No one is going to give out the information I need to know who did this terrible thing to me. And so, my mind was set. I planned to kill every single member of this server